Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at this hour. It's a pretty late for Bangladesh time. It's almost past 10 p.m. But thank you for whoever is joining us in this special webinar of our innovation and technology series. This is webinar 4. And today's webinar is very special because it is very much linked with a very important issue that is being dealt with globally. And we can see we are about to start the Data Privacy Week 2024 for the first time in Bangladesh, where we're going to have a week long activities and campaigns to create awareness about how to protect your data and how to ensure cybersecurity. Because let's face it, we are in a digital world, everything is being digitalized, we are leaving our footprints everywhere. So this cannot be more appropriate time to talk about this issue. And before we go on, let me introduce myself. I'm Barrister Tasnuva Shelley. I'm an advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, and I'm going to be your host today for this webinar. And with me, I have very two special guests tonight for this very special webinar. We are kicking off the Data Privacy Week. Today is the first day, and today's webinar's topic is very much related to our Data Privacy Week, which is understanding the importance of privacy laws in today's digital landscape. So, without further ado, let me introduce the rest of my guests who are going to be here with me. I have a very dear friend and a mentor, and somebody I very much look up to, who has actually inspired me. And we have not ever really worked together, but we have actually met at several conferences, and that is actually, I think, believe the true power of networking. We instantly connected and we kept in touch, and we have always, like, inspired each other. I believe in some ways we are always very, I'm very happy to see the kind of work, your journey, and you're always also encouraging me with the way I'm doing. I also told you that I will be moving back to Bangladesh, remember, at the Codex conference when we met.
hmm I
And
do.
yeah, and so I'm here today, and I'm so glad with with along with Cynthia Cole, who is a partner at Baker McKenzie, situated at the Palo Alto in California. We have another very special guest, and I couldn't be happier to have him here with us, because this really shows the commitment of our country, and the fact that we are really taking privacy and cybersecurity awareness very, very seriously, because we are also going towards we're moving towards smart Bangladesh, and there is no way we can avoid uh, these challenges and risks. So we actually, even though, Cynthia, we do not have a specific data protection act like you have in California, in EU, but this just shows the commitment of this our local agency, that we want to create awareness even before we have a specific law. And without further ado, I want to say that Cynthia is a leading expert in data privacy and cybersecurity. She's a certified information privacy professional and a partner at Baker McKenzie. She has been recognized as the top cyber lawyer in California, and she has extensive knowledge in this area. And along with her, we have a very special guest. We have Kamruzzaman sir, who is the Director General of the National Cybersecurity Agency. A lot of people still don't know, because we had a name change of the agency. It was before the Digital Security Agency, but we just renamed them because we amended our previous law, which again shows the commitment from our end, that we want to ensure data protection and cybersecurity for the community, because I believe it's a global challenge. Every country went through that phase, and every country is going to go through that phase because we will be going moving towards digitalization either today or tomorrow. And California has always been a forefront, setting examples. And I couldn't be happier to have the two special guests with me to kick off the Data Privacy Week. Today's the day one, and we're going to have week long activities. I hope all our viewers follow our Facebook event page, which will give you updates of the rest of the events. So I will now ask our Director General, Kamruzzaman sir, to say a few words.
I am trying, but it's not working. Okay, thank you. Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Justice Legal Mind to organize this webinar. And at the same time, I would like to convey my regards to Cynthia Cole for providing time. Even she is enjoying holiday today in California. What was saying Barrister Tasnuva that we don't have yet the data privacy law, but we have already drafted a Personal Data Protection Act in our country that is under process of approval. Um, at the same time, we are living in a digital world where the data privacy is very crucial to ensure the cyber security. That is one of the challenges, vision of our country to save, create a safer cyber space for Bangladesh, and that cannot be done individually. No country, no organization can do this cybersecurity, ensuring cybersecurity by himself alone. So we need to work collaboratively with the other experts and organizations to ensure this one. And without further any saying, I would like to start is Cynthia Cole to deliver her speech. And thank you once again for organizing this webinar. And I would like to express my thanks to the other listeners who are viewing this webinar. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. It really means a lot that you joined us at this hour. And it's really, like I said, it shows the commitment and the fact that, we do take this issue very seriously. And it cannot be more appropriately timed for this because, Cynthia, we just had our general elections earlier this month. And we do have a vision to be smart Bangladesh by 2041. By that, which means that everything is going to be smart, the citizens are going to be smart, the economy is going to be smart. And, by smart, we mean everything is going to be digitalized at the palm of our hands. So, this webinar means a lot, and having you here is really special for us. And I hope we will continue learning and sharing experiences because, like I said, you have worked in this area, and California is the first state to have its own privacy act, and it's in the entire United States. So we would want to learn from you, if you share your wisdom with us. And we want to learn because we are a developing country, and we are just going through that change which every country went through. And we believe that very soon we will be there. So, Cynthia, welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the really warm welcome. I'm really happy to be here. As Tasnuva said, we've spent a lot of time getting to know each other over the last few years and supporting each other and inspiring each other, which I think is so important, right? To learn from others and to support others, right, in their initiatives, especially in this space, which when I started practicing law over 20 years ago didn't exist, right, in this way. So there has been so much change and so much movement, right? And a lot of people would say that it's progress, and I guess it is progress. But with progress comes a lot of responsibility as well, right? So, thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to kind of highlight to everyone the topics, what we are going to be talking about, because this is a new area of law, and we are moving towards Smart Bangladesh vision. We will be talking about the importance of privacy laws, and also how we, with the global perspective, and how we need to have develop our local resources. I want more people after this webinar to take this as a profession. Like, we have data privacy experts, data privacy specialists, and even, in the, like, very rightly that DJ sir pointed, that we have a draft data protection act. It very much says that, there will be a data officer. So these people need to be trained, these people need to understand. So we have to kind of develop resources locally, and so that people can understand, the younger generation. I want to be a privacy specialist. This is a very interesting area, a career choice, uh, that I want the new generations to adopt, because till a few years ago this was not there. So we want people, the generation, to take this, get the required trainings, have the resources, so that we can, we have, in every organization, we have seen that it's required to have a data officer, an information manager, a privacy specialist. So, and the segregation of what amounts to personal data, how much to share, how much not to share, what is the responsibility of individuals. Like, I have certain responsibilities about my data, and when I'm sharing it with organizations, they have certain responsibilities. They have to deal with it with integrity, they have to ensure confidentiality. And we understand, because of this digitalization, data is also being transferred. It's going to be transferred from one jurisdiction to another, and it's just going to, bring in a lot of new areas that we have not experienced before. And with that, I want to ask you, Cynthia, if you can kind of give us, because, like I said, we don't have a specific privacy, data privacy law, but we have, our constitution actually says, our constitution guarantees individuals' privacy. So that is our key point that we are banking on. So it's not like our country has been backdated. Like I said, individuals' privacy is a right that's guaranteed by the Constitution, and we have few other acts, here and there, which talks about privacy, but not a complete comprehensive one like California or the European Union. So if you could give us like a global overview of the current privacy landscape that's happening around, that could, I think, we could benefit, our audience could benefit from that.
Sure, thank you. Happy to. So the first, really the largest and most sort of important privacy regulation that came onto the scene was the GDPR, the EU privacy regulation that went into effect in 2018. And that really set the stage for a regulation that encompassed all of Europe, right? Which was then adopted, and in some variation by the individual countries, but obviously covered the largest geographic scope of any privacy regulation or anything even close. And then the principles, and then it also set out a principles based approach, essentially, right, around privacy, and that again, like Bangladesh, that it was that individuals have a right to privacy, right? And borrowing from you know prior and previous regulations and treatises and the OECD and right. And then so individuals have a right to privacy, that your information belongs to you, and if enterprises and other individuals use it in any way, then there are certain principles that they must adhere to in order to do that, right? And so, just the act of collecting data just sort of regulates the act of collecting personal information. A much larger definition for personal information, which also includes which also includes IP addresses and everything that is online, right? As well as information on this, on the street. And so anyway, so the principles around it are transparency, accountability, right? Making sure that companies have privacy statements, that they are honest about what they do with data once they collect it, that there is a data minimization principle, only taking as much data as you need in order to effectuate what it is that you say you need, you want to do with it, specific purpose. And then a system of understanding all of that data, tracking it, and then deleting it and not using it, right, beyond the purpose that you have stated. So, all of these things um, were novel, right, at the time. I mean, there were obviously sort of traces of those things come, sort of in different laws, but GDPR was a major shift for enterprises, for individuals. And then quickly following on that was the CCPA, which is the California law, which is very similar, but has some differences. And like Tasnuva said, so that was it was drafted in, it was passed in 2018. It went into effect in 2020, and then now, and that was the first state to pass a similar consumer privacy law. And then now we are at, so New Jersey is the 13th state, and then it looks like maybe there's a 14th state that should be passing a consumer privacy law soon. So that's how quickly things are moving.
Yeah, that is, like I said, it was truly amazing because I was there, and that was the year that COVID started,
Yeah,
2020, and it went to effect. I remember the date, but I think first it was in January. It
yeah,
went effective in
January
January.
1. Yeah,
I was following that completely from there, and I was like, you know, I came to, I was trying to kind of understand. Oh, okay, so privacy, what does it mean? Because it could mean so much, really. Privacy of individuals, how individuals' privacy can be hampered, how the responsibilities, like I was saying, of the organizations that are handling data. And then I saw that, then we saw the act was saying, you always have to get consent from the person that whose data you're going to be using, and you have to get, it has to be an informed decision. The person needs to know why you want the data, and they have to give a consent. And it was their right that they should know how and where you're going to be using it, for what purpose, and the fact that you will not be sharing it or misusing it for any illegal or other activities, which we have seen because of this digital era, that cyber crime, cyber scams have increased so much. And that became really the key, that how much where are we informed about the fact that when I am filling up an application form for a raffle draw, or like ordering something online, you're sharing your name, your cell phone number, your address. And what is that? Because you are ordering something online to one company, then they're sharing to the packaging or the courier company, then somebody else is actually delivering it. So there are three layers, but you only shared it with one organization for that one particular item. But however, they are being sharing that, you know, with other organizations, which sometimes we know now Amazon is big, Amazon has its own delivery, but before they didn't, they didn't really have it. So the issue really became the fact that they were sharing it with their counterparts. Was this, did you give consent to that they can share it? But then I started seeing actually that, they ask you, we'll be sharing it for for this purpose. Are you interested in receiving newsletters and emails from us about it? And they have also given the option that in any case, if you decide not to be part of this, you can unsubscribe, like remove yourself, remove your number or your email address or your information from the data or the directory that is being followed. So can you give me some of the compliance challenges that most of the organizations faced at that point when implementing that? Because I can kind of remember that, when the organization started, because before it was just like, okay, I got this information, I can do whatever I want with it. Then enforcing these, you know fallbacks, like, no, you
Yeah,
cannot do
of course.
so.
No, yeah. I mean, I think so much of this is driven by the fact that companies have been collecting data and using data for so long, right? This has been building and building. And the reason is that they're, again, like you said, they're taking the data and they're sharing it with third parties, in some cases selling it. There's an off market, right? For there's a marketplace for data. And that marketplace has continued to grow. And so many companies rely on that revenue stream for that is what drives their profitability. And so that is a conflict, right, with compliance in a number of ways. And the first way really is that many companies don't have a handle on all of the data that they collect, right? It is difficult. They're getting data from so many different sources, and they are not aligned internally, and they don't have the data in secure locations, right? So when we talk about privacy, it really is in connection with security at the same time, because you can't, one of the obligations under GDPR and under the CCPA is to keep the data secure that you collect. And if you look also in, even with respect to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission in the US, they are actually now issuing more enforcement actions related to security of data, right? And saying that when you collect individuals' data, you have an obligation to keep it secure. You say in your privacy statement that you will keep it secure, and if you don't, that's unfair to consumers. So it is all of these things are linked, right? And it really starts with understanding what data you are actually bringing in to your enterprise, and then where are you keeping it? Because the issue is, again, it's very difficult for companies to keep track of it. There's so much information that's being collected at so many different points. And then what happens is, again, we see the rise in sort of cybersecurity incidents, right? And a lot of that is because that data is useful. It's useful, and so there's an entire black market for that data, right? That is going on. And so it's a system that really just sort of continues to feed itself, and it's difficult for enterprises to keep track. And the best way to do that is when you are building your company, you are looking at industry best practices, like you mentioned at the beginning about education, right? Education is so important. It's educating it's educating lawyers, it's educating government officials and regulators, and it's educating the public so that they make informed choices about what they're doing with their data when they sign on to different programs or different or different initiatives. And then it's also getting people involved in security, right, and technology, and understanding how the technology works, and understanding what it means to have a secure platform for data, right? And how do you use cloud services like AWS in a secure way, right, when you're hosting data? So all of those things, I mean, it's a big opportunity, frankly, for young people, right? Looking for different things to look at for further education and for a profession, because it's booming.
You are so right. That is why I'm saying, like, this needs to get out there, to this generation, that, when we are saying, like, when you so rightly mentioned that, we have so much data, we don't know what to do with it. And I think that is when Facebook kind of realized, we know so many litigations going on. FTC had, we call them the big tech, if the big tech giants, the big tech giants. So Facebook, Google, they got so many information, and because there were no laws about it, they decided to use it in whichever way they wanted. And then we are also heard of these concept of algorithms, like, because it's not just your data, they're also monitoring a pattern. Like, are you a person who's always into makeup? Are you a person who's always buying household stuff? Are you a person who's always into, energy or healthy lifestyle food? Are those the things, that kind of things you're watching? And really, it's like you're being tracked, wherever you're going, whatever site you're browsing. It's like, you're being tracked. And that really brings me to my next, the next discussion that I really wanted to have with you, which you also started, like, the intersection between technology and privacy, because
Yeah.
you cannot separate the two. You really cannot say. So, before, the traditional fields where, computer engineering, and you
Yeah.
become a Java developer, an IT developer, and all that. So, now we have artificial intelligence. Now you're just not, a software developer is not just going to do, because, it's this technology is such an area which has been evolving. you know the technologies that were so, trending 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we have new and improved versions. Nobody wants to use them anymore. You remember the days of the internet when you had to dial through a phone,
Yeah,
and
I do. I
yes,
do. Yes.
and if
Because I'm
somebody
that
would pick
old.
up the phone, you'll
Yes.
get disconnected and everything. But,
Yeah.
like, look here where we are now. We are always connected, which means you're always also tracked. So
Yes.
there is we need to kind of be the whole point is that, there's nothing wrong, being connected all the time. But then again, you must be aware that, as an individual, that, how much you're sharing, and, whether this is something that you want to share because it's leaving a digital footprint forever. Is this
Yes.
something that you want to be on the web for life? So, as an individual, it's also education and awareness, because we
Yeah.
were also not used to these things. Like, we want to post things, we want to share our lifestyles, and also because I think the fact that COVID kind of increased it a lot,
Yeah.
because, we were under lockdown. There was no way to connect or meet people. Then we started using technology to connect, to do
Right.
our work, to actually do our grocery, to do even the schools were online.
Yeah.
We were working remotely. So, uh, and I also, I'm going to actually volunteer and say this. Like, I was one of those persons, because data was so expensive. So mobile data, we had to save it. So if we would go to a public place, we'll be like, turn off your mobile data. I'll be like asking for, do you have Wi-Fi? What's your Wi-Fi password? Only we came to know when I took my classes on IoT and cybersecurity. I realized that when you're connecting with the public Wi-Fi, you are actually exposing yourself to a various amount of risks. And I don't think people know that. And that is why we are actually having this data privacy week focusing on awareness. Uh,
Yeah.
you know uh, we want to we want people to know that now, since I learned it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to use my mobile data to connect with my laptop. Like, I don't want any public Wi-Fi. But how many of us know that, really? Because we do want to connect to Wi-Fi.
It's true. It's even with respect to charging your phone, for example, right? They talk about using the free chargers in airports or even some hotel rooms, right? Or different places. And so, again, it is without being paranoid, right? But it's important to be aware that your data and your information and your whereabouts and how you spend your time, right, and what you purchase and what you browse on the internet is valuable to a lot of different companies, right? And so that information gets shared, gets collected, and gets shared, and is a part of a revenue stream, right, for, like you said at the beginning, not just the first company that collects it, but then it could be 10 different other companies that are using it in a different way, and then making connections with it and inferences. And you talk about cookies and third party advertising, and then feeding you more content that's similar. And you talked about the recent elections, and there are a number of elections in 2024 as well, right, in the US and other
I know,
companies.
I said, that is what I said. I said 2024 is the year of elections. We just had a webinar right before the elections day on how social media platforms are going to
Yeah.
have an impact and influence the electoral processes all over the world, because
Yeah.
they play a huge part in our lives now. And electoral processes and then the elections are no separate, and they are going to get influenced. Because it's just easier to communicate and connect with the candidate, with their agenda. I want to highlight that, because I had this webinar right before our election day, that this year we saw the use power of technology. There was a QR code where you could download
Oh, wow.
the manifesto of a political party that was standing up for elections. So there were messages that we were there was an app that the election commission actually created, where all you had to do, you had to put in your NID is basically like the social security that people use. So you had to just put in your date of birth and your NID number, and the app will tell you what is your voting serial number, what is your voting location, and
Wow.
Google Maps will show you how to get there. And my mind was completely blown away. I was like, oh my God, we are actually really moving towards a smart Bangladesh, because I never expected that, I
Yeah.
will be doing all this from home. Like, imagine having a QR code for a manifesto from a political party. And it was quite extensive. And how many people had hold of it. So when I got hold of it, I was sharing it with all my friends. Like, yeah, you want to know before you vote, like, read everything so that you can make an informed choice before the elections. And what you rightly said also, that people make money with data. we have seen data monetization has been given these organizations an incentive, and
Yeah.
this digitalization means, like, it's traveling from one jurisdiction to another. Cloud, keeping everything is on the cloud. Oh my god, what is the cloud? That's what I was saying. I wrote an article about it, actually. This was published on the 1st of Jan, because it was the Bangladesh Bank, basically, our uh, central bank, basically published a guideline on, for the financial organizations, on how to make sure, they keep everything safe, and how what should be the responsibilities of the cloud service providers, and what are the factors to consider when you want to use this cloud service. So even though it's not applicable for all companies, they focused starting with the financial institutions like commercial banks, non-commercial banks, the mobile financial services. And now we have, because now we also have, we're going to have digital banks. Um, so it became very important, and I was very happy to see that, the central bank was thinking of this, and they
Yeah.
provided a guideline for these financial institutions to follow when using cloud service. And they actually gave a timeline. This was published in March 2023, and they knew it was new. So they told all the organizations that, you have time till 31st December 2023 to implement and follow this. And I was following that because I'm really into fintech and everything that has to do with technology, really. So my article was published on the 1st of Jan on, on the power of cloud and how important it is, and how organizations should act, the things that they should consider when they're migrating, and, like, to make sure they're secured and they're accessible. And then we have the concepts of having blockchain, where, any sort of data manipulation can be tracked and traced. Access is very limited. Everything is in the box. And so I want to ask you, when we talk about data monetization in this digital age, which is so happening, and I mean, how can we really? Is there anything that we can do other than, like, threatening the organizations? Don't do it. Like, what can we really do? Because I also believe it has a lot to do with understanding, like, uh, the trust that an individual has on the organization, that, I'm giving you my data, and I don't understand the value of it, but Facebook was the first company to understand its value. They changed its name to Meta because they were seeing with lots of data, and they realized that, this is going to be the biggest asset, and this is what's going to matter at the end of the day, in the coming years. So can you just tell us what you really think about these technological advancements that we're having, and how do we strike a balance? Really, can we strike a balance? Is it possible?
I mean, it's difficult, right? It's difficult. And I have to say that my viewpoints have shifted too, right? I mean, I think that just you mentioning, you were talking about using Facebook, right, in Bangladesh as a means to get information out and to, right? I have a friend who used to work in the legal department at Twitter, right? And she talked about how Twitter has been used, right, by, different organizations and by different governments as a way to get information out to people who don't have access to information in ways that I do, right, living in California. And I think that you know get there is it's important. That's why education is so important, right? Because it's educating the individuals, but it's also, innovation and technology is a way to educate people about what's going on around them, right? It's a way for people to connect and to network and to make connections and be informed in ways that they haven't been able to be informed in the past, right? Um, and so I don't know how you balance, the other, but then at the same time, right, especially with respect to elections, and you mentioned AI and the use of, right, all of this data, the fact that there is all of this accumulation of data, right, has empowered and really driven the advances with respect to generative AI and different technologies. But what that does, though, is that people can also use it in ways that deceive, right? You have deep fakes, you have the ability to take, yep, exactly. You have the
Dark
ability to
web.
take, yeah, to take someone's voice or someone's likeness and then distort it and misuse it for the wrong message, right? And so I don't know how I think I don't, I think that in some cases, eventually there could be some uses of data and some uses of some technologies that probably just shouldn't happen, right? Like certain organizations that are tracking, like you mentioned, geolocation, right? And taking geolocation data of sensitive individuals, right? Or individuals, um, going to having access to hospitals, or, right, I mean, there are certain uses that I think eventually probably just shouldn't be done because they don't really serve a positive purpose, right? But I think part of that, though, again, gets back to understanding the technology and how it's used. And so I think that people just need to be aware that your data is being collected, it's being used by different organizations, it's being shared, and asking questions, right? Asking questions when you can, of the enterprise, asking questions of your regulators and of your, right, and saying, are you looking at these things in the right way and communicating. So many people, I think, and everyone is guilty of this, right? You expect that your government, or, right, is doing the right thing and that they're knowledgeable and they have information, but you should be interacting with them, right? You should be contributing as well to the discussion and sharing your experiences. And I just think it's, you know it's progress for sure, right? But there's a cost, and I just think, being educated about what those costs are is really important. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, you are right, because we know there are lots of benefits of having technology. There's no doubt. We have seen it's serving us during COVID. Like, if we did
Yeah.
not have if we did not have technology, the entire economy of the whole world would have collapsed. So, technology is what kept us connected. So we want technology for sure, but what we want to use it in an ethical way, like, in the right manner, so that no, it's not misused, or it's not used to commit crimes, which we already know. For example, we see a lot of these, because this was not we have a lot of online gamings going on, and it's not really, our gambling act is ancient. It's 1867. So we don't when we in 1867, when we made that act, obviously we did not even
Yeah.
think of the online, but now, people are heavily into gaming, and what's happening is, um, there's a lot of money laundering happening, in terms of, like, you're winning coins, but then you're converting it. We don't have any local gaming companies, but if there is a gaming company that is registered outside Bangladesh, but Bangladeshi people can actually have access and play those games, which means there is like a gray area, and there's a higher risk of money laundering, anti-terrorism financing happening, and our foreign reserve is not being tracked, our foreign reserve is actually going down, down, down. We don't know how, why that's happening. Then, when you dig deeper, you realize why. So these are all connected. And it is actually going to be hard, but I think at some point we will kind of reach that level when we actually create awareness. I think as individuals, we are not even aware about what I'm sharing. I'm not aware of the value that of my data is to others. I need to be aware on how to keep my data safe. And that is actually the goal on which we have decided to conduct this week-long data privacy week, to aware and share knowledge on data privacy and cybersecurity. And I have seen some people are like, they think it's different, but then they're so interconnected. You cannot have cybersecurity without ensuring data privacy. You cannot have data privacy and keep cybersecurity separate. They are interconnected. They are linked. And uh, for businesses here, of course, all businesses, like when they go to cloud and when there's a new regulation enforced on them, they're always resistant. There's always resistance because they have to change the way they're doing things. And even though they might be okay, because they will lose their license or they will get a fine from the government if they don't follow the regulations. So what's happening is, at this point, we're kind of in the middle because we're going through that transformation. So some organizations are following it, some organizations are not, and taking advantage of this grace period because there's nothing particular to say that, oh, you violated this act, this section, so you're going to be penalized X million amount of dollars or local currency. So that is not there. So what is happening? Cybercrime is increasing. People are getting scammed. Like your Facebook account is getting hacked, and you are sending messages to your close friend asking for money. And we have similar like mobile financial services, which is like PayPal and Zelle. Within seconds, we're sending money, and then we're realizing that I was scammed. It was not my friend who was in need. It was not my relative or my mother who got into an accident. It was a scammer. And these things, and also these things are happening a lot. Nobody's stealing your bags or your jewelry anymore. People are stealing your data. They want
Yeah.
your identity. They want your PIN number, your social security number, or like bank details, addresses, phone numbers, as such. So we have to be aware of this. And a lot of times our cell phone numbers have kind of become linked with our they link your cell phone number with your cell, that
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's part of your personal data. And then we have seen that whether we have privacy laws, like I said, when we will have it, we should not wait. As an individual and as an organization, we do not have to wait for that. We can already be aware of these risks and challenges, and you know start preparing um, to be complying with these with the basic principles. Like if we go, confidentiality. I am supposed to maintain confidentiality whether there is a law or not. I did not so this is so. And also integrity. Like when I am sharing my information with you, I'm trusting you. And why are you breaching my trust and sharing it with XYZ companies without my consent? I only shared it with you. So a lot of these, like, even though we don't have I believe a specific law. We have bits and pieces in few laws, a few acts, but the core principles are there, um, of doing ethical practices, maintaining integrity, business ethics, confidentiality. So these are already there, and we do not actually have to wait for a specific law to pass in order to comply with it. We can start now, and we can also start, like you said, you mentioned education, having these universities and the curriculum boards who creates these kind of curriculums to include these, to have this, like privacy specialists, like you will have a job. Every IT company will have a position
Yeah.
where it needs to be filled up by an expert who is certified privacy professional. So this is why we are actually doing this Data Privacy Week. We want to create awareness. We want people to know that we are here. Digitalization is going to happen. It's not going to go backwards. We have to accept this change. We have to adopt to it, and we just need to be making sure that we are aware of the risk. Like I said, we are not the first country going through this change. So we want to learn. Like I said, when I was there, I remember I was telling you it was the Codex conference.
Yeah.
I went into that room thinking like I am so this and that. I'm a lawyer. I'm working for a tech company. Then I'm doing an MBA, so I'm a mixture of law, tech, and business. Then I meet these lawyers who have actually studied computer engineering so that they can code, because they were like, I wanted to make an app, and these IT people did not understand what I was saying, so I decided to do it by myself. So I started computer engineering so that I can make my own app, which was great. We have seen that
Yeah.
it has made life easier for this. So my goal is actually similar. I want law and technology to merge, and it has to merge, because when these cyber criminals or these cyber crimes happen, even though we have an act, none of these perpetrators kind of got have is most of these cases are being dismissed because of lack of evidence, because there's really no I believe that we do our the legal professionals here do not have that CPE requirement like other countries, like being updated with the latest trends, which I
Mm.
also think is one of the reasons why even the even every lawyer does not understand how to do digital forensics, how there was how the breach was there in the layman's terms, how to do an investigation when there is a cyber crime happening. And it's also difficult for the judiciary to understand,
Yeah.
okay, what do you mean it was manipulated? How did it how did the, what is phishing, how what is malware, how did they hack into your system, where is your what is an IP address? So all these things, so technology needs to be part of like every curriculum now, not just for the specific computer engineering or IT students. The law students need to have technology for lawyers courses. I think they should also have economics for lawyers. uh, so this is where I want to kind of emphasize, because if the Data Protection Act, the way it is passed, like every organization, we need, like I said, a privacy professional or a data officer who will be managing, there's the legal hold, before we would delete and try to hide. Like, no, if there is a potential litigation about a particular matter, those documents, those informations go under legal hold. You cannot delete or destroy those. So all these things come in place, and I think we are also running out of time, but I want you to give us Because you are there, you have seen the change. Because I see we are, we are going to also get there one day. I think we are actually on the right track. We will get there, and I'm here. I'll make sure. So, can you give us some tips for businesses and individuals, from your, or share some experiences where you've seen some of the challenges that were there and how you overcame it? Because we will face the same challenges. We are going to face the same challenges. So there is nothing new to create. We can actually learn, how did they handle that challenge? How did that country deal with this issue? How was it addressed? So maybe we can be a bit proactive. And I mean, this particular week is actually, showing the eagerness and willingness that we want to be proactive, about this. So is there any kind of tips that you want to share with us,
Yeah, sure.
for and the
Yeah.
individuals also?
So I think human nature, humans are afraid of change, right? Generally. And as a group, we're afraid of change. Individually, we're afraid of change. And so and technology is very, very sort of opaque and scary, right? And so with between being afraid of change and then technology, which so many people, because you don't understand it, and you haven't been trained, and you haven't been educated on how it works, and that's not your specialty, right? um, it makes it even more intimidating. And so I would say the first thing is to not let the fear, right, of the unknown, of the opacity of the technology, of the, not let the fear interfere with the education and awareness of the issues. And because that's something that even for myself, right, I've had to really think about and understand. And why am I, why won't I embrace this particular technology or this particular thing? And it's really fear, right? So the more that you educate yourself and you're aware of the risk, and also the more, like you said, which I think is really important, is that even without new laws, there are always laws that exist, and there's basically just the human relationships that you have, right, around confidentiality and integrity and how you behave, right? And I just think that those things, keeping those two things, at the forefront, which is like, don't be afraid of the technology and what's new and what's coming. And then also understanding that having that compass of, this is how, this is the social construct, right? Which is that we behave in a way that is consistent with the way we've always behaved, right? Helps kind of anchor those pillars. But I do think that, again, so many people, like you mentioned, this does have a human, it has a human price, right? People they want to help each other, and then the bad guys take advantage of that, right? So being understanding that there will always be people who will misuse technology or try to, take advantage of it for their own personal gain. But the more that you are aware of that and able to see the risk without being afraid of it, right? The more that you will, be able to integrate that technology and move in the right direction. And I just think it's really a question of course, the technology is important, but it's always a question of how you interact as individuals, right? That it's really a human problem. And I think that sometimes that gets lost when we talk about, privacy and cyber. And so I think I guess that's my tip is understanding that this really is about the fact that we all matter, right? We all matter. We're all part of this human connection, and how we interact is important. And so, how you bring, so that's, putting the guardrails around it, understanding that the information that someone gives you is there, belongs to them, right? And how do you treat it, and how do you keep it? And then, awareness and education, and not being afraid of it. So
That is actually the right way to put this, and we have already come to an end, and I think we have our DG, the Director General, back, and we want to kind of say thank you for your time. And DG sir, we are so grateful that you have actually I was working on this from since December, but I did not share my plan because we were the country was going through election and everybody was going through election. So I kept my plan to myself, like, okay, I will do whatever. So as soon as I shared this with National Cybersecurity Agency, I was so happy that within a second they were like, oh, of course, this is thank you so much, Kamruzzaman sir. Your support, like I said, it has inspired, and I think what we are doing will inspire many more. And we are doing this week long activity. And DG sir, if you want to say a few words, we will, since this is the first day, we are launching our data privacy week long activities. We have a video that we will share at the end. So before we go to the video, I want to thank you, Cynthia, for your time. And Sundays are special, we know that, and it really means a lot. It really also shows that it has kind of, like I said, you've always been inspiring, and it will help us. We will actually connect with you more, and to take help from you and understand, like, the global aspects, and how you have, like I said, whatever challenges we're going to face now, you have faced it already. So how you've addressed them, we will want to learn more, and get your pick your brains from time to time. And like I said, our we you can clearly see that our National Cybersecurity Agency is totally on board, and they want to be proactive and not wait for an act to pass. And I think this is a great message for the country, that data privacy, cybersecurity is very important, and awareness and education is the first step towards that. So I want to thank you both, and sir, to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tasnuba. Thanks, Cynthia, once again for your valuable time is sharing with us. And it is commonly known that there are three basic components for cybersecurity: that the people, technology, and process. And if you have money, you can buy technology. But the most critical factor is the people who need to be learned, educated. That is, you have already mentioned. And we are also know that the people, if we can educate our people, learn our people, we can ensure our cybersecurity more robust, and that will also help to make the digital smart Bangladesh by 2041 declared by Honorable Prime Minister. So thank you once again for your valuable time, and we hope we can actively engage ourselves for enjoying the or celebrating the Data Privacy Week throughout the week. And this is the beginning today. Hope we have a meeting on tomorrow for a formal opening with some technical persons, and critical information infrastructure people will be along with us. And hope to see you again, and we also hope to meet you again, and also have a webinar in future also. And we would like to take your expertise in case of necessity, and hope you will share with your experience with us. And that's all from my side. Thank you all.
So this is
thank you.
kicking off Data Privacy Week, everyone. So hold tight. This is just the beginning. A lot more fun, lot more activities, lot more awareness, lot more discussions and ideas are coming up. So it is bye from us, but stay tuned for the what is coming for Data Privacy Week 2024 for the first time in Bangladesh. And here is the video which will kind of inspire you Can we have the video here, please? Okay, thank you everyone, and very excited. A lot of excitement and hard work going on. We have the formal inauguration tomorrow, and thank you, Kamruzzaman sir, and thank you, Cynthia, for kicking off the Data Privacy Week. It's the first day. Let's I'm really excited for all the other events and the activities that we have planned for the rest of the week. So it's a good night from my end. Uh, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
Cynthia,
sir. Thank you.
and Barrister Tasnuva also.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.